Mr. Bernier, thanks for joining us. What does PPC offer for First Nations, Inuit and Métis voters?
You know, we are offering the same thing that we are offering to all Canadians, and that's important. But we have something in our platform. We want to be sure that the First Nation, the relationship with the First Nation would be different, and specifically looking at the Indian Act and looking at property rights on reserve, that will be part of our platform. And people will be able to vote for a PPC candidates because we will have a full slate of candidates here in Manitoba, but all across the country. So I'm very happy. After 8 months, we are very competitive.
So when you say you're looking at the Indian Act, what would that entail?
Well, looking at it a bit more in details to be sure to change that Indian Act or abolishing it. You'll see our platform in more details in a couple of weeks from now. But the goal is to have a new relationship with the First Nation. We will respect the treaties that we signed, but we need to have a new relationship. And we want a First Nation on reserve to be able to be more prosperous. So that's part of our platform, with also our tax reform and no more corporate welfare. So that will help every entrepreneur in this country also.
Unlike much of the general population, there's not much middle ground for Indigenous people on the pipeline issue. Many are against all pipelines, while others are looking for a piece of the action. How would you navigate that?
Well, first of all, you know, we need to have a consultation. That's part of the decision, the Supreme Court decision. So we'll do consultation with the First Nation and also with provinces. But after that, we need to be able to build pipelines in this country. And if necessary, we will use the Constitution. And when I'm saying that, using the Section 9210. And when you use that section, the federal government will have all the authority, the responsibility, and the jurisdiction to approve pipelines after consultation. But the federal government used that clause in the Constitution more than 300 times to build national infrastructure. So for me, it is important to be able to build private sector pipelines after consultation. But if we don't have any agreement, we'll have to use the Constitution and go ahead with pipelines.
So why even have the consultation, though, if you're just going to move ahead anyways by using other means?
No, it is important. We'll see. Maybe the project can change in details a little bit or not. But we need to know what is the position of the opponent. But at the end, it's the responsibility of the federal government. And I'm the only leader who's saying that publicly, that yes, on my own province in Quebec, as you know, the Quebec government said that there's no social acceptability for pipelines in Quebec. I don't believe that. I think the population in Quebec are in favor of pipelines and oil and gas because they know it is safer for the environment and for the population to transport oil and gas by pipelines and by trains. We had the huge tragedy in Lac Mégantic 6 years ago. So if the Quebec government or a First Nation, after consultation, are still against a pipeline, we will have to impose it for the unity and the prosperity of our country.
Mr. Bernier, you've called people who warn of an impending climate crisis alarmist, and you don't believe there is a climate crisis that humans can or should address.
No, what I'm saying, you know, the climate is always changing and it will always change, but I don't believe in the climate emergency. Every 20 years we have radical environmentalists that are telling us that. And the most important, I don't believe that the main reason why we have climate change is because of human activities. There's a lot of factors, so that's why our party is very different than the Liberal and the Conservative. We won't sign the Paris Accord, contrary to the Conservative platform and also the Liberals one. We will respect our Constitution, and we know that the environment is a shared jurisdiction with provinces, and if a province wants to fight climate change, that would be okay for that. But at the federal level, we won't impose a carbon tax. We won't impose more regulations like Andrew Scheer wants to do. We won't impose a tax on the big emitters. What we will do something for the environment, but something concrete. We want to be sure that we'll be able to always swim in our lakes and fish in our rivers, so we'll have a concrete platform on the environment, but nothing on climate change. We're very clear about that.
Your party has been viewed as alt-right by many, attracting some racists on Twitter. What do you make of those people being attracted to your messaging?
First of all, those people are not welcome, and our party share the Canadian values. And we're not anti-immigration. We're not for mass immigration like the Liberal government right now. Our position on immigration is fewer immigrants. We want to go back on the average that we had under Stephen Harper, not 350,000 a year, but less than 250,000 a year. But we want more of them to be economic immigrants, and we want them to be able to participate in our society. And our immigration program is there to fulfill our economic needs in our country.
Mr. Bernier, we'll have to leave it there. Appreciate you taking some time for us here.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.